So what does a corporate funded apartment, living with your parents, and a work exchange have in common? They were all dependency-based environments that came at the cost of my selfhood. So you would think that now that I've finally landed in a sovereign foundation, an environment that no longer depends on my performance, that I'd now feel free and clear. And in this video, I want to talk about why it's not actually the case. I want to talk about what this phase is, what it means to lay the bricks of a new, more sovereign foundation, and how that influences your identity and your direction in life from there on. As usual, we will use me as the case study for this framework. This is a window into the 5-domain system, which walks the entire arc from survival into sovereignty across 5 core domains, starting with foundation, which is your environment and what your life is built on, how much your life can actually hold you and who you're becoming, which then translates into what we're talking about today, which is identity and direction. I did post a video on the 5-domain system, kind of giving just an overview, so definitely recommend checking that out. I'll link it in the description box below. And my last video was on foundation, and that's also worth checking out as well, because the foundation always comes first. The domains work in sequence. We only get insight into our real identity and our real trajectory in life when we are stabilized in our foundation, when we feel safe, and when our life can actually hold us. And by the way, if you're into this stuff, go ahead and hit the subscribe button so you don't miss more content like this. It's like, now that my foundation doesn't require me to perform a role or an identity in order to stabilize, what do I tolerate? How can I earn money now? What revenue channels have closed? Like, I can tell you right now, no corporation, no company in their right mind is hiring someone like me, because I know my future and it is not there. It is not with them. At this point, the conversation turns toward values. And those are still becoming apparent as I'm making decisions from where I'm standing now. It's a weird space right now because so many doors have closed behind me, the doors that I don't want to go in, but they're familiar. They were doors that worked before. They're not working anymore, but the new doors are still just starting to open. And that creates a little bit of confusion. Not the immediate clarity and momentum that I personally expected as soon as I'd arrive here. All right, so let's just clear this up right now, once and for all. Identity is not your aesthetic. It's not your brand. It is not your personality labels. Real identity is 100% internally defined. It is literally your internal authority, your inner compass, that feeling inside of you that is always giving you feedback and direction in life. And in the 5-domain system, what we look at is where on the scale from survival to sovereignty is your identity and direction. When we are more in survival and adaptation, our identity is externalized. We do identify with roles. And so as we move on the path towards sovereignty, our identity becomes refined and more self-directed again, which then leads to our choices and our life becoming more self-authored. Just remember, there's a difference between what do I actually want on a deep core soul level versus what have I been rewarded for. Again, some examples: family roles, corporate roles, caretaker and high functioning roles, performative roles, any kind of over adaptation. And here's the dark truth about identity and about foundation. A lot of environments don't just influence your identity, but they actually organize and then exploit it. Unstable foundations and conditionally stable foundations will always distort your identity and require you to externalize authority and direction. And survival mode as well creates adaptive identities because we're constantly finding ways to stay safe and find belonging in our environments. Here are some signs that your identities are still adaptive. You might overthink your direction constantly. You might need a lot of reassurance from other people or books or guides. You may become a slightly different person around different people. Maybe you feel clearer or like you know who you are more when you're by yourself rather than in certain environments. Sometimes you can feel in your body viscerally something is wrong. It doesn't feel good saying certain things or engaging in certain dynamics or conversations, and you feel it, but you're so used to it, it feels familiar, so you just do it anyway and you override it. Maybe you continue to even identify with those patterns. And your choices are organized around preserving stability rather than facing the truth. You want to know what I've realized over the past couple years? Most people don't actually have identity confusion. What a lot of us have before we find ourselves on a path like this, if we ever do, is adaptation confusion. Because we become so adaptive in our identity that we don't even remember who we are underneath it. We literally lose touch with our true selves, our true inner wisdom, our true nature, and it is reinforced by our environments. When we stabilize our identity and we start moving towards sovereignty, it generally does not actually come with some big dramatic moment or some major reinvention. It almost always starts with noticing, becoming more aware of what actually feels false. What actually feels like, that's not me at all. Why did I ever do that? You start to notice things that you related to or that you talked about or that you cared about or how you were orienting your life. It's almost like you can see that version of yourself as if it was just like, it's almost like you see another person. I don't know if you've seen videos of people record themselves at night and you can see them walking around and they're sleepwalking through the house and doing crazy things. You're awake watching this video and you're seeing yourself go through all these motions. And you're like, that's not me. Like, that's me, yes. That's my body. Those are emotions that I was physically making, but like, I was not there for that. I did not make those choices. Those choices were not mine. This is exactly like this. You start sort of seeing the other path and the other you. And it's almost like this shadow of you, this inherited stuff, beliefs, self-concept, all of it. And you're starting to be like, yeah, I never wanted that. I didn't realize I was doing that. Now I'm here. And being where you're standing now with more awareness of your values, your actual values, rather than your unconsciously inherited values, you start making choices that are different. Your whole entire life trajectory is different. And it's that contrast that really creates this sort of spotlight on like, okay, so that's not what I want. That's not who I am. Those aren't the people I want to hang out with. Those aren't the things that I like to do. Those aren't the jobs that I want to work. You start to have this opening, this sort of like doorway to, okay, so if not that, then who, what, where, when, why? And from then on, you just start to pay more attention to like, what are things that expand you? What are things that contract you? What are things that make you angry versus make you feel more alive and that inspire you to grow? Identity becomes a whole lot clearer when survival stops making all of your decisions for you. And that is only possible when you have finally built yourself an environment or a foundation that can actually hold your sovereignty. And again, don't get me wrong, it doesn't come without effort and without time and patience. I lived in more than just those 3 environments before I finally landed where I am now. And it required every single experience, all of those little differentiations from those environments to say, no, this is who I am, and I will not shrink for this. Again and again and again. So just remember that your foundation creates the conditions for you to actually hear yourself. You stop asking the question, so who should I be? Or what do I want to do with my life? And you start asking yourself the real question, which is, what actually feels true to me when I'm not adapting or over-functioning? In the next video, we are going to dive right into the next domain, which is patterns and conditioning. So definitely stay tuned and hit the subscribe button so you don't miss that. And if you're interested in learning more about this or applying this framework to your own life, I've dropped the link below to the 5-domain system framework. It comes with a self-scoring assessment as well as a more than 30-page guide to explain all of it, as well as your next steps forward. And if you want to work one-on-one and have this framework be applied by me in real time, check out our clarity sessions below. You can catch the link in the description box as well. Thank you for being here and for watching and for being on this journey with me. I'm so grateful for you guys, and I will talk to you so soon.